So Manu, what's personality? What do you mean by personality?
Well, personality very simply can be defined as a collection of traits and behaviors that influence the way you see the world around you, the way you act and view the world around you.
All right.
And this could include how you view others, right? How you tend to gather information or like to absorb information that's coming in from your environment.
Right. And or how you communicate to others. So many a times, sometimes, why do you communicate like that? Why do you speak this way? Actually, it has everything to do with our personality, right? Also, you also have it determines the way you want your space to be organized. Whether some of us how we want things to be organized, and we have tags,
Absolutely,
tapes, and define what things are.
You name certain things that belong to you, right?
Right. So all this comes from our personality. Manu, I have a question for you. Have you ever, from far see someone, you see two people speaking, right? And you have not talked to them, you have not speaks to them, right? And from there, you will see you saw A speaking to B, and then you were like, I don't like A.
Wow, that's a strong emotion, but I think I know what you mean. You could describe it as I don't vibe with that guy, right?
Yeah.
I don't know something about it.
I don't know.
Something about him that I'm not able to connect. Or on the other hand,
I just like this guy.
I really like this guy. I'm really resonating with what he or she says, right? So if you felt similarly, you know that this has something to do with one, the way you see yourself, and two, the way you see the world around you, right? And this is coming out subconsciously, but we're going to explain why this happens.
Right. So what do you mean, where does this personality come from? How does personality evolve?
Well, personality can be influenced by two major factors, two broad areas, right? The first one is your heredity. When I say heredity, I'm talking about those characteristics and traits that have been passed on from your parents or through your parents. It could even be, a couple of generations before your parents.
Up to 6 generations.
Up to 6 generations. That's what research tells us. So this is one big part, the heredity influence on your personality.
Okay, which means way before you're born, when you're in your mother's womb, right? Who you are or the way you are has already been predetermined. Or the so-called, when we grow up or even now, what's your potential? Work on your potential. We keep hearing people say that to us, right? So what's potential? How do I know my potential? Where does this potential comes from? In fact, for the first time, you will get to know, and we are sharing this with you. It is already been predetermined. And this is coming from part of our hereditary personality.
Very interesting.
Right?
Very interesting. And the second area where personality is starting to get molded is your environment, right? Your upbringing, the way your parents raised you, the friends that you kept, the teachers that you had in school, the school that you went to, the books that you read, the TV programs that you watch. I mean, the list is endless.
Yeah. The country that you're born in or where you are. I mean, we have people coming from maybe of the same countries, but we might be different. Because every family, if you really see that, we have our own different culture. Now, this is what we say the environment have shaped us, right? So personality is a combination of
heredity
and environment, right? That make up the whole you.
So if you could wonder which plays a stronger role, well, you can't really say for sure. It really depends on your personal experience. Both of them have found to be very, very influential in molding your personality. But sometimes your heredity could play a bigger role. It could have been encouraged. It could have been nurtured, and you turn out to be who you were born to be.
Yeah.
Whereas on the other hand, you can have your environment suppressing your heredity, right?
Yeah. So when we say heredity, we say that you see it this way: heredity is like the nature. What you're born with is what we call nature. An environment that influence you, it's called the nurture. So if the nature is what you're born with, which is what we have said earlier, and if the environment have really nurture who you are, which support your personality that you're born with, that means you'll find that growing up, the environment, growing up as a child, you find yourself very comfortable. So when Manu say that, oh, it could suppress, it probably it would mean that when you grow up in your nature and nurture, it's not aligned. It's not the same.
And if this was the case, it's likely that your upbringing would have been a difficult one. In the sense, you could have had a lot. Yeah, you're growing up. You could have had a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Maybe clashes of personality with your parents. It could be with a sibling. It could be with a teacher. It could be with the society. You know the kind of difficulties that you would have gone through as you grow up, based on what we're going to tell you right now. The FITS assessment is based on the work of Carl Gustav Jung. He was a Swiss psychiatrist, and he wrote a book in German called The Psychological Types in 1921. And in this book, he theorized that our personality could be made up of 4 functional types, right? And each of these functional types are playing a role in the way we perceive the world around us and the way we view and act with each other, interacting with our environment.
And the functional types is known as F, feeler,
the I, intuitor,
and T, thinker,
and S, the sensor.
Yeah. Now, these 4 types has got 4 different attitudes. And when we say functional type, it means the mind function differently.
Absolutely.
Or they prefer to, they work differently.
It plays a very big role in the way you operate. And you could see it in the way you view certain situations. You can see it in the way you view people, your own self in the context of those around you. These traits are very clear. These functional types are very clear.
Right. So these personality styles or the types play either a dominant or a less dominant role in your day-to-day life, right? So it really depends on how it plays in your life. And this is what we are going to share with you.
Absolutely. So just remember that each of these types are genetically determined.
Each one of us has a preference of 1 or 2.
And this preference grows stronger as we grow older.
And we use or develop these other attitudes or the other preferences due to a situation, the way the situation demands of us.
Now, there is no person with purely one type. Just remember this, right? We as human beings, as individuals, are a mixture of all 4 types. We're like a cocktail.
Okay, if you want to use cocktail.
Right? So there is no one best type. It's good to keep this in mind. It's just we vary based on the degree of these mixes.
Right.
Within
and there's no great type, bad type, because if you want to be any one of this type can make you successful.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think that the beauty in this assessment is we need to know who we are and use our strengths.
Absolutely.
If you'd like to take the FITS personality style assessment to benefit your life, career, business, or relationships, reach out to OMI.